Hello, you're listening to Questboard, a podcast where we make up random side quests. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Tiffany, and we are not professional writers in any way, shape, or form. At least we don't claim to be. We just really like tabletop RPGs, and we do this for fun.
And we usually do party stars when I am sick of the recent rolls we've been having on Questboard.
Hey, I thought we did some good ones back there.
It was okay. Like last week, if you listened to last week's episode, we turned a scam into an interesting one where it's just clearing out your name. But I was just that when we came into this recording session this time, I was like, maybe we should have a break just in case we roll a not so great one again. So
The rolls have not been in our favor recently.
So I suggested party stars because usually those are, in my opinion, a little bit better of making an actual quest.
Well, it's not just a quest. It's a kind of like a start premise for an entire campaign almost.
Yes, and that was a starting point.
Yeah.
But we've had it where it doesn't have to set the tone for the entire campaign. We could just have it where it's a very small one-time quest. That's how the party just knows each other or introduces to each other.
I know, but they'll always remember this is how we met.
And hopefully it'll be a funny and memorable experience. But I guess we'll find out. You got dice?
Oh, I got them. 51.
51. We have not done that one.
Ooh.
Ooh, interesting.
Do tell.
A traveling carnival has rolled into town, and you've all decided to check out the attractions. A commotion erupts, and you realize that you're all in the same path of escaped, and this is in parentheses, or was it freed? Angry beast. Its trainer is nowhere to be found, and you're the only ones who could stop it from charging into the big top full of helpless townfolk.
Ooh.
So, again, starter level, early level, and all that stuff, so we can't do it that big of a beast.
So an owlbear is out of the question?
That's a challenge rating 3, unless you start them at that level
Gotcha.
or higher. But I think this would be a fun thing to do where you just come up with fun little mini games.
Yeah.
And then do individual roles or individual role play small moments where they could play one mini game and then possibly bump into each other.
Oh, that's always fun.
Which we could spend most of the time just trying to think of
mini games.
Mini games to do if you're in an in-person group.
Yes. Oh.
Do we want to spend our time just doing that? That might be fun.
That's always fun. I love mini games, especially when you can physically do something to represent the mini game. It's my first thought was axe throwing. Because what sort of carnival or what sort of festival doesn't have axe throwing?
I know we had an axe throwing thing or hatchet throwing in the Hangover, which is the Hangover. Was it the Questboard one or was it the party?
I think
it was the Questboard one.
I was gonna say we've had 2 different hangovers, haven't we?
Yes, the Questboard one where the party finds a hatchet because they were backtracking themselves.
Right.
And they found a hatchet in a door of a paint shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was
that led them back to the tavern where they were throwing hatchets because
drunkenly.
Yes, which is always very dangerous.
So this is the second time we're having axe throwing. But
I just thought about it because I actually have a small plastic axe throwing set that you could totally set up and have your players try to hit the target type of thing.
Oh, is it for kids? Those kid toys things?
Yeah, and instead of actually cutting into things, the hatchets themselves are foam. Well, there's hard plastic in the middle, but there's foam around it. And then the target itself is made up of a bunch of pegs. And when the axe hits it, it wedges between the pegs and stays.
Yeah.
If you throw it right.
I feel like you should just go to one of those bars that have axe throwing.
Because
they're across multiple cities.
We've got one right across the street now.
If we ever have a Patreon or something like that, you and I should just go and do that. Have a small competitions for between each other.
I mean, I've got the plastic set.
No, we gotta do it with real ones. Come on.
Well, I know a place.
And I know one that actually serves alcohol.
This is a place that actually serves alcohol too.
That makes it more fun. Or at least
for you.
You have an advantage.
To our listeners, I don't drink. Not for any other reason other than it smells funny and I don't want to.
Actually, you know what's funny? Back in college, I would go to a bar with a friend of mine. He got better at pool when he drank.
There are
and
some people...
I got worse at pool as I drank. Which was perfect because in the beginning, I would just beat him so badly that he'll start ordering me drinks so he could win.
I also know that we have a mutual friend with an axe throwing target in their backyard.
Do we?
Yes.
You could say the name. I'll just beep it out right now. Oh, really? She does?
Yeah.
Hmm.
You can cut that whole part out if you want.
No, I think it'd be funnier if I just censored just the name.
Okay,
I'll have to
anyway.
find a new sound effect, but yes, I could do that.
Anyway, yeah.
And I just like totally diverts into
Okay, complete tangent about axe throwing.
and possibly a Patreon video if we ever do a Patreon.
Help us get there. Join a
If I-
Patreon if we ever make one.
If you're ever willing to just give us money to support this stupid project that we do.
I don't think it's stupid. I have fun. All right, so possible axe throwing, because who doesn't love that?
Okay, so
More
for the
carnival
mini
games.
games, if you want, and then at the end of it, we could just decide of a monster.
Yeah.
For the mini games, do you want to come up with mini games and the real world counterparts? Like the DM has to prepare this first session.
Right.
Like for the axe throwing, do you want to set it up where, okay, so like if you remember that like fold the paper football game, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
triangle. If you just brought one of those, it's like if you flick it and it goes between like these goalposts, that means you hit the target.
Yeah.
And it's things like that, you know, something that
Okay.
they could do or prepare, the DM could prepare beforehand,
Okay.
and that the players could do physically for the challenges instead of a boring just roll the dice. Some
Well, I've got one
fun
that
mini
usually
games.
shows up at carnivals and stuff. Throw the ball in the milk jug. All you need is red solo cups and some ping pong balls.
Yeah, that could also work. Also, this very much, are we gonna do a fantasy D&D thing, or are we doing like real world? Because this could very much be the start of either.
Yeah, no, this could fit in just about any campaign. You can give it the fantasy spin. You can have it be like a Ren Fair style thing, but it's the real world. Like it could be Monster of the Week. It could even be Call of Cthulhu.
I was just wondering, because if we wanted to think of like magical ones or like very silly magical ones,
Well,
if it was fantasy.
in Monster of the Week and Call of Cthulhu, it can be a magical beast.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the beast. I'm talking about the mini games.
Oh, the minigames. Gotcha. Well, okay.
Of course, if it was Call of Cthulhu, that beast will be magical.
Uh-huh. Magical and creepy as all get out.
Corruption and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Eldritch.
So the games can be magical seeming, but depending on what setting you're in is if it's smoke and mirrors or actual magic.
Okay, so what would be a good example of that?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that far. Maybe like something floating around, but if you get like a good enough perception check or your character has really good ability to notice things. I don't know what the other games use for that. You'll see the little teeny tiny bits of fishing wire holding it up.
Okay, how far are you in Baldur's Gate 3?
At this point, I don't really remember. It's been a little bit since we played.
Okay, this might be a small spoiler for you, but it's something
And those of
completely-
you listening,
Yes, but it's completely a side thing that's like has no meaning whatsoever.
okay,
Or it's like nothing pertaining to the main story.
right.
It's just an area you could go to
Mm-hmm.
that's for fun. And it's completely on the side. But there is a carnival in Act 3.
Okay, I haven't gotten to Act 3. I haven't even gotten to Act 2.
I'm sorry. But
Okay, there's the carnival.
there's a carnival. And it's completely on the side. And it's completely just
Okay,
side
so
content.
it's not really a spoiler. It's this thing exists. You should go check it out.
Yes, but I'm going to spoil one thing in there, which is you would find a genie, a legit genie, or a djinn, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
that you spin a wheel for a prize.
That's always fun.
But the prize, it will never like spin the wheel to get the prize, like the grand prize, in which because the genie is wearing a ring of like either mage hand or something that causes that thing. And so what you do to actually win the prize, which I didn't do on my playthrough, I had to watch a video about it, is you sneak behind the genie and you steal the ring off of him, and then you play.
That's funny.
And then you distract him, and then that's how you get to win a game prize. And if you accuse him of cheating, he'll get very offended and turn you into a wheel of cheese for 10 turns. It is quite funny and all that stuff.
Can you move around his cheese, or are you just stuck in place?
You're just stuck in place.
Okay, it makes sense that you can't move around his cheese, but I just imagine a wheel of cheese rolling around.
And going to another attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. It's like that is a magical thing of like what happens if there's a person there that's like spin the wheel and all that stuff, but they're cheating because it's carnival games and it's always rigged. But that's completely on the fantasy side.
Yes, but the mundane counterpart of that is magnets. They could just have
That's
magnets on the wheel that make it never stop.
what happens if that's actually something you called for like real life things?
Probably.
I don't know. I don't know like the tricks behind it. Except for the basketball hoop one where they make it like quite small and you have to be super perfect.
It's oval.
Or that. They make it so that it's barely like
It just
bigger than the basketball, so you have to actually aim
so
perfectly
yeah,
in there.
the width of it is right, but the depth of it is just ever so slightly larger than the basketball, so there's less of a chance that it will fit in there
Yeah.
because you're looking at it from an angle, so you'll never see that it's oval.
Yeah, don't go for the basketball ones.
No,
It's a trick.
it is. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Star Wars reference, go.
You gotta. Anyways, for the spin the wheel thing, if you want to actually be legit or anything like that, I believe there's a website called like Spin the Wheel where you could put in your own thing and then
There
it'll just
is,
spin.
yes.
You could do that for that kind of game.
Or you could make a little wheel.
If
If
you're
you're
very
feeling-
crafty
yeah.
and like have the money for that, you could do that. If you're broke and just want a digital version, it's hard to cheat on that one, but
It very much is.
that will be just a nice, maybe fun thing to get. Like, give them in the beginning just an extra prize based off pure luck.
Right. Or if you don't want to have any kind of physical wheel or anything, you could just make it a D10 roll or something like that.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of things
I
that
know.
doesn't require a dice.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you don't want to make that little extra effort and you don't have the time for it, you don't have the materials or anything like that, yeah, just roll a die.
Oh, also, if you're gonna do all these like little prep things, be sure to warn your party that this is a one-time thing and this isn't the effort that you're putting in for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, let them know that, okay, it's going to be a little fantastic this time. Don't expect this every day because that'll just set you up to stress out more.
You know, it might be setting the expectations high at the start, but as
Yeah.
long as you talk to them, and they
Mhm.
should be understanding.
Right.
Especially when this is just small carnival games. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, there's always a test of strength.
True. How would you like do that in the real world to represent it?
Those little exercise squeezy thingies. If you just already happen to have some of those, like, you know, it's like two handles and it's got a spring in the middle, and then you
Oh,
try
that's
to
an
close
actual
it.
like hand exercise
Yeah,
tool.
I'm
Yeah.
saying if you already have some of those, that's perfect to see who can like close it or who can hold it closed longer or something like that. Or go find some various sized rocks.
You know what you could do is the the ball toss with the like bottles that's stacked in a pyramid.
Oh yeah.
Take like a bunch of like D6s because you will always have a bunch of D6s for a fireball. And make a small pyramid like across the table, and then the player has to be on the other side of the table, and they have to like either slide a dice or like toss a dice, most likely probably slide, to knock it over.
I was thinking if you had the solo cups still, you could use them for that too. That's the easy mode though. Those things fall over in a breath.
Yeah. If it's the cheated version, do D6s and have them slide a dice to knock it over. That'll be a fun, just physical representation on that.
That would be, yes. Because who doesn't have far too many dice like I do?
It's been a while since I've been to a carnival. What other carnival games do we
know.
have?
There's like throwing darts at balloons is a common one.
You could replace
Ring
that
toss.
with... Okay, fantasy version for the darts. It'll be with a bow and arrow. Then how do you do a physical representation?
You can make a tiny bow and arrow out of various small things
Oh,
and have
the
them shoot toothpicks.
The schoolyard pen shooters.
Yeah.
Have you ever done those?
I haven't done it, but I've seen it.
You just need like to drill a hole in the side of a pen, and then you just need a rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
If you are willing to spend the money on just a 10-pack for like $3
You've
pens?
probably already got some hanging out in your drawer somewhere.
Yeah, you just drill a hole in the center on the side, in the very middle, and you just need a rubber band, and you could shoot those things, and then that will be the physical representation.
Or if you don't want to make a small weapon, there's all sorts of other things. Like, you know, I think we used to actually have there was like this little paddle that you would strap to your hand, and then you had a little felt ball that you would throw back and forth at each other, and the paddle had Velcro
I know
on it.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But this is another we're 90s kids moment.
Oh, yeah.
But I had one as a kid.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So if you know what those are, I don't remember what they're called, but if you had the little Velcro ball thing, or you know where you could find one, you can totally like set that up on the wall and have people throw stuff at it and try to stick to it.
Or that.
Yeah, it's a much safer version where you won't possibly injure one of your fellow players and give them ink poisoning.
They know the dangers of D&D.
Oh my gosh. Please do not harm your fellow players.
Okay, just have a couple shots first and then do it. And you won't feel it.
Oh my gosh. Or
Actually,
Nerf darts. Nerf gun, Nerf darts. They make Nerf darts that have suction cups on the end of them. I have some. They're fun. And you can have a shooting competition with that.
yeah, you could have that. And that would just be an accuracy thing. So you could have like just shooting targets or whatever as with a bow or crossbow.
Yeah, usually at like medieval like Ren Fair and or carnivals back in ye olden days, they would have like an archery contest.
Yeah, but this is a carnival.
Yes. Carnivals could have it too. But yeah, that could be an easy setup you could do with Nerf darts. Yeah. Not going to mention my absurd amount of Nerf guns that I've got.
You had to re-emphasize Nerf guns.
Yeah. No, there's only one gun in our house. And it's not mine.
I even shot it.
I know.
It's all right. It's just a 45 caliber gun. Anyways, I mean, if this is the fantasy one, we could talk about like possible attractions, like
Look, we caught a unicorn. It's just a horse with a carrot taped to its head.
oh my god. No. I have an idea. It's just
What is it?
it's to bind together our quest board universe. What
Bring
happens? You probably don't remember those.
We'll see.
What happens if they have a Kelpie?
Oh no. You expect me to not remember the Kelpie?
I don't know if you remember the detail that the Kelpie was at a carnival.
You're right.
That
It was a
got
part of
released,
a carnival.
and then it escaped that small town and it went to the one well that they had. God, it sounded like I had a stroke. Just listen to episode 31, Wellness Check.
I love it. But
you
the
did forget that detail.
momentarily, yes. But so the Kelpie can't be the monster that escapes in this one, because if we are connecting those, that thing escapes later and causes problems.
Well, it's just an attraction.
I
It's
believe-
just something to show. I'm not saying that it's the rampaging one.
Yeah. And I believe that episode was called Wellness Check.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the one that rampages.
Okay. It's
I'm
just on
saying
display.
it's on display, like other phantasmal things that they
Yes.
have on display besides this, because
Okay.
it's not like they only have one animal and that's the only animal that escapes.
Right. So
I'm
yeah,
saying that there's could be other attractions like to view.
but down the road, if the DM does want them to face off with the Kelpie, that can totally be the same Kelpie.
So the only problem with that is if we do that, Wellness Check was in a Monster of the Week game setting.
It doesn't have to be, though.
We said it as that, I believe.
Yes, but all of these could easily be respun to any, like, game style, really.
You do have a point there. So if you want to respin this one to be fantasy and Wellness Check, I forget which episode number that one was.
Feel free to use both.
But if you want put a Kelpie in this carnival, I can't believe I found a connection or a way to get that to be connected. Yes, then those two could work together.
I think that's fun. So, okay, they'll have it probably in some sort of mobile tank. It'll be a water tank built on the back of like a carriage type thing with like wheels on it, and then they'll just put boards around the bottom of it to hide the wheels.
Did you ever see, I don't know why recently I keep bringing up Pirates of the Caribbean, but Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it's the fourth one where they were going after the Fountain of Youth.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. They
You
had
remember that mermaid in a tank?
Yeah, it was essentially a coffin.
Yes, something like that.
Bigger, wagon sized, I was thinking. So they can just like remove the boards around the bottom of it, hook it up to something and pull it.
Okay, but that kind of shape and feel
Yeah.
of display.
Yes, it's got totally like glass on all sides. Sout? That's not a word.
That's like if Smog said it. Saws.
No. Anyway, I was going that doesn't really quite work with that accent.
It's hard to replicate, to say anything else but smog.
Smog. Anyway, but it would definitely have like reinforced bars holding things in place so the glass doesn't get as much stress from moving around as much. And
Well-
if it's a magical based campaign, it could be enchanted glass.
Well, it's like similar to how aquariums are built.
Yeah.
Or fish tanks, basically.
Yeah, but they're not made to move as much.
I mean, depending on like the aquarium.
Or you could have it set up to be an all metal thing with portholes on the sides for people to stick their faces up in. So you can only a few people can look at a time, and you look in there and the Kelpie's just like right in your face. But they also want them to pay to see it. And the whole point of that is you don't get to see it until you've paid. And then you get to go stick your face in the porthole. Because you never actually get to
You do have a point.
You never get to see the attractions until you fork over that money.
I forgot. It's the 1920s style of selling a carnival.
No, they still do that today.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah. You don't get to see the attraction until you give them money. That's how I got to see the world's largest pig.
How much money did you pay?
Like
to
$2.
How much?
It was like $2, I think. To go in.
I still think that's $2 too many to see the world's largest pig.
It was a big pig.
Who cares? I could take any pig in Photoshop, scale up, and done.
That's not Photoshop. This was a real live pig.
Okay, I just think that's not worth it. And I think that's the nicest way I could say it.
I like farm creatures. I absolutely love going to see the cows and
Yes, I see the
fair.
farm animals at the county fair as well.
yes.
But I'm not willing to spend $2 on the world's largest pig.
I was young. I really wanted to see that pig.
You were gullible back then, and you're gullible now.
This is true.
Anyways, do we have any other thing
Let me think. Carnival.
instead of me just criticizing you paying $2 to see a pig?
Well, they do have the thing where you hit the hammer on the thing and it hit the bell, but I don't know how
That's
to.
that's like
Test of strength,
yeah,
yes,
I
but
thought that's what you referenced earlier.
yeah, but squeezing the thingies is not the same as hitting the thing to hit the bell. I don't know.
How do you do a tabletop version of that?
I think they actually do make little plastic versions of them.
What's a cheap way that doesn't require you buying a bunch of like unnecessary things that you're only gonna use once?
Plank of wood, a log, a hammer, and something on the other end of the plank of the wood. See how high it goes.
Okay, you're not fine with the whole pen launcher thing, but you're fine with a hammer.
Good point.
Hypocrisy.
No, see, the hammer's not sharp and won't give you ink poisoning.
The hammer could break bones,
Honest-
especially if test of strength. They're going to hit it hard.
Yeah, but they're not aiming at other people.
Did I say it was going to be aiming at other people for
You
the pen?
know they would.
No, if it's just in the direction.
Okay, fine, whatever. No hammers either. I was thinking one of those little like hammers that is full of air and makes a funny noise when you whack it on things.
Oh, that squeaky one, like in Japan or whatever.
Not just Japan, they're over here too, but yeah.
They're very well known for like their games, like TV show games with those hammers. And all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
they do have a lot of those. See, other carnival games.
If we
I haven't actually been to a carnival, I don't think. I've been to fairs.
no, I've seen too many horror movies. I don't want to go to a carnival.
It's like I don't really know what the difference is completely. I think fairs put on by the city it's in, right?
I think a carnival is closer to a circus. It's just like a traveling circus.
Oh, okay. They actually travel around.
I believe so. Or I believe a carnival is like a circus, but they're more on the lines of like weird attractions like the bearded lady, the shortest man, or stuff like that. While a circus is more about performance based.
Gotcha. Well, you could have a bunch of those kind of
Please,
attractions.
if you are more, and I'm not looking at the definition, so if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments.
We could throw in, like, come see the world's shortest man and things like that. And once you get in there, you either realize it's an illusion or like it's an illusion based on
No,
like,
it's a wizard
more
that
mundane
casts enlarge/shrink,
yeah.
and they just like 3 or 4 wizards cast that same spell on them that many times. It's just half, then half, then half, then half.
Right. Or it's like a more mundane thing where he's like actually standing like in these holes that are carved in the floor, but then there's fake shoes put around his legs to make him look short type of thing.
If that's like Monster of the Week or Call of Cthulhu style.
Yeah, it would be a hoax every time.
Okay, I think we pretty much thought of any possible games you could do.
If you can think of more, let us know.
I think it's just now we need to decide what is the rampaging beast that will threaten
Rampaging
everyone's lives.
If
We start off as level 1.
Yes. Do we want it to be a fantastical beast, or do you want to actually think of an animal in the real world that would be at a carnival, like on display, that could escape and then hurt people?
Okay. If it's the real world one, I vote liger, which is a real thing.
That is a real
would
thing.
be an attraction because I believe they don't exist anymore, or they're extremely rare.
They're still around. I think they're just I don't think they can reproduce. So every time one does
they're
exist,
like mules where they're sterile.
So yeah, having a liger would be pretty scary to interact with.
So I just looked it up. The United States holds the greatest population, around 30 ligers.
Oh, really?
China holds only 20 ligers.
Go USA.
There's probably fewer than 100 exist worldwide.
Okay. So, ligers. It's a thing.
And they're very rare.
So, okay, it's a liger if I can't remember, it's specific. So if the parent, if the father is a lion and the mother is a tiger, then it's a liger. But if it's the other way around, I believe they call them a tigon.
I have no idea. I just know the term liger.
Yeah.
And I knew that was a thing. I actually don't know the science behind it.
I don't know if it's something that would happen naturally.
No, I think
Okay.
it's because it's so rare, it's not a natural thing.
I was right for ligers. It's a male lion and a female tiger. And a tigon is a male tiger and a lioness or female lion. And there's a picture here of a tiger with a full-on lion's mane.
That looks weird.
No, it looks majestic as all get out.
Send that to me on Discord.
I was already doing it. So it's a white tiger
Ooh.
with a flowing white mane, but there's streaks of black in it. And it's got the lion tail tuft as well. I think that would be a cool thing. Like, sure, people have heard of ligers. Has anyone heard of a tigon?
Well, to be fair, the average population would just also call that liger because it's just lion tiger.
Yes. No, this is tiger lion.
I'm saying general populace.
I know. But this one is majestic as all get out.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, it looks huge.
It does. So if it's real world, we'll do that.
Yeah.
That's real easy. And usually those is just whatever stat you want because those forms are usually not like stat block like D&D.
Right, right.
For D&D,
What you got?
I got one that's a challenge rating of 1, but it'd be interesting if they had a dragon wormling.
Oh, yeah.
I found this just brass dragon wormling. That's challenge rating 1. I'm sure there's other wormlings that are the exact same thing anyways. So any color you want, but I think if like the carnival had one of those because they're hard to like capture, they were planning on just raising it and all that stuff to continue being an attraction for thousands of years.
Yeah. Oh, that's rude.
And the bigger it is, the more attraction it is.
Yeah.
And so I believe wormlings, they have an intelligence of 14.
They're pretty smart little buggers.
So they're smart. So this one probably
If I remember correctly, I believe they're also capable of speech.
draconic only.
Okay.
So I thought maybe the wormling like found a way to escape basically
Mm-hmm.
and get out of the cage. And maybe
Hey, you know what else is on that list of challenge rating 1?
what?
A bugbear.
But okay,
Everybody's seen a bugbear, I know.
no, I was thinking like, you know how Goblin is like an actual, it started off as one of the evil races and just toss out like monsters, but now they're actually like a civilized thing that's a part of a lot of people's campaigns. It's just a part of society.
Yeah.
I feel like bugbears is also going in that direction. So then having a bugbear as a quote unquote attraction
Yeah.
seems a little bit wrong to me.
I found another thing, though.
Well, I was going to say if I think it would be an interesting take on like, because metallic dragons are usually good, they don't attack people. If we had a metallic dragon wormling,
Mm-hmm.
what happens if this leads to another quest where
That
the
is true. It could
metallic
lead to
dragon,
them trying to return it to its parents, even.
yes, but it could be a case of like the parent or like just single parent, because I don't know if dragons raise like their children in pairs.
Depends on what kind of world you want to build.
True. But I think it'll be an interesting aspect of if a metallic dragon hates humanity or acts like a chromatic dragon because the child was stolen or anything like that, or the child being enslaved and all that stuff hates humanity because of it, in which then the party could like rectify or make up for it and basically save the populace from the wrath of a either ancient copper dragon or the future ancient copper dragon.
Kind of like the show The Dragon Prince.
Don't know that show.
Okay.
Did I just copy a show without knowing it?
I didn't know you didn't know the show. It's by the same creators as Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's fantastic. It's on Netflix. Go check it out, everyone. Yeah. So there's a baby dragon in that, and they're trying to get it back to its, I believe, mother, because the father is dead. But they're trying to bring it back to the mother so that they avoid war between the two sides of the world.
There's no such thing as original content anymore.
No. So, similar concept, and honestly, if you want to make a campaign in that world, I want to hear about it. Please link me something.
So, are we doing the canonical thing? Is a metallic dragon?
Yeah, go
wormling?
for it.
Okay.
I'm liking it better now because I really like that show. I also did find a Deinonychus on that list.
What was the Deinonychus?
What everyone thinks a raptor is.
Oh, well, we talked. That's right. We talked about that in Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a challenge rating of 1. So if you don't want to have it be a dragon, throw in a dinosaur.
If you're set in the same world, and the previous, like, this is a thing of like, oh, you finished your campaign, let's start a new campaign in the same world. That previous world, you did the Jurassic Park quest, then they know that there's dinosaurs and all that stuff. You could put that in this one, and
Mm-hmm.
alongside with the Kelpie as additional attraction,
Yeah.
because they've never seen dinosaurs before. Now we have attached a second quest to this. Okay. So I think we gave a bunch of options of just small mini games for fun as a lighthearted first session that ends with a fight, which I think is a good like wrap up of a session 1,
Mm-hmm.
where you have role play, you have mini games, and then you have just one combat.
This thing happens.
This thing happens, and I think that's a good like summary of a first session.
Yeah.
Because you have a little bit of everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're playing with like first time players or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a good way to introduce them to some of the mechanics of the game.
Well, we're talking about like real doing things in real world. That's
Yes.
not a lot of mechanics in the game.
But if you do want to use this to introduce them to the mechanics, you can use actual dice rolling and things
Oh,
like
you're talking
that.
about like persuasion, insight, or like
That too, yes.
perception. Okay, but yeah, a lot of fun things you could possibly do on the table with some attractions, and then either a dragon wormling or a Dionysus to then ruin the party, ruin the carnival, and the party has to save them. So if you put this in your campaign, you can let us know on Twitter at QuestBoardPod or on YouTube at QuestBoardPod. If you have a party start of your own scenario or a quest board posting for us to do on our normal episode, let us know on Twitter or down in the comments. I think with that, I wish you all a good night.
And happy questing.